So I wanted to do a video about embracing your identity or um, embracing who you are and living authentically. Um, this just came about with me engaging in some, which I don't mind sharing this because it is YouTube, right? In some self-pleasure time, which I did another video on that before. Um, and my take on that, and I kind of think that as a society, we have been programmed to believe that it is wrong to, if you've grown up, especially Catholic or Christian, it's wrong to enjoy sex, right? And pleasure and stuff like that. And when I say embrace your identity and your authenticity, I mean, I'll explain in terms of what that means to me, but that could mean anything to you. Um, how many people go about living their lives, and this might get into people pleasing actually, how many people go about living their lives inauthentically, right? Like, I was afraid to, when I was younger, I was afraid to, I don't know, like certain things. Nothing sexual, just in terms of like me as a person. I would always be the type of person to agree with somebody else because I never wanted to rock the boat or ruffle anyone's feathers. So I'd often dumb down, I'd actually almost take on the viewpoint of the person I was speaking with, and I would like agree to like what they like. I know that sounds really like weak and insecure, but I was really weak and insecure. I'm trying to cover my chest. I don't have appropriate attire on underneath. I mean, for YouTube, for this platform. But yeah, I feel like in my life I've kind of, my dog is, Bonnie, you have to go. Oh my goodness, baby. She's like leaning against the laptop. In my life, I have always, and I don't want to cry, but I have always put other people's needs first. And I never had much of a voice because, again, I was afraid to rock the boat or hurt anyone's feelings. Even so much to the point, like, if I was at work and people would be vaping around me, I would, like, when I became a trainer, I became a little bit more strict and adamant about it, but, like, I would let them do it because I didn't want them to not like me, as a person and as a coworker, so I'd let them do it. Or I'd act, like, cooler than I was, if that makes sense. Like, I would be behind the scenes, like, of a restaurant working with my coworkers, and I would, like, try to use the slang terms that they use, even though it's funny, I actually probably use a few millennial slang terms, but like before I would try to do that, and I wasn't living authentically, I wasn't being myself. I also too was a virgin at the time, so I didn't want to act like, how do I put this into words, I wanted to seem cool, so I would make myself seem more experienced than I was. And that was not, if I had my own children, I would tell them to wholeheartedly embrace who they are. I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to go kind of really far out of context here. Not super far out of context, but in terms of living authentically, I've been, not struggling, how do I put this? Because I don't want to like sound redundant and repeat the same material that I did before for another video, but I have, because I talked about this in another video about like navigating intimacy while being a Christian, right? Because when you watch people fornicate, like and I did a video on porn as well, but when you watch people fornicate, it's not something that it's definitely not something you see in the Bible, right? It's not like something where they're like, yeah, you can, what, it's not, right? And as of late, I've been it's weird because as a woman, sometimes I tell myself, am I being whorish? Am I being slutty for watching porn or, um, enjoying sex and intimacy and stuff like that? I'm being dead honest. And as of recent, I mean, I recently started, which I never thought I would do. If I had a conversation, that's another video I should do. If I met my like 9 or 10-year-old self, would they be proud? I don't know. Um, I mean, I think my 9-year-old self will be proud in terms of how far I've come and how brave I've been and strong I've been, because I never before ever spoke up about like anything. Like when I tell you that I was a wallflower and I was mealy mouthed, I mean it. And now I have become like, I curse like a sailor. And if you don't know what that expression or that idiom means, um, it means like allegedly sailors, like you think of the Navy or whatever, like curse like a sailor. I don't mean like a curse like a magic curse. I mean like curse like this and this and this and whatever. It's like it should be like it's just interesting because before I was very prim and very proper, and I'm kind of like, I sound it's bad to say, but balls to the wall. Can I say that on YouTube? And it's true though, but as of late, like recently, like I literally just, and if this is TMI, I apologize, but I just finished watching a video of very explicit content, we should call it, and nothing super crazy, it's just porn or whatever, and which let me tell you, I'm putting myself out there by saying this on the internet. Granted, I have only like 60 people, and I don't really, my dog Bonnie gets majority of the views. And I'm only doing this so if I help like one person, then I'm happy. Because I always said that like when I was younger, like I wish I had someone that I could have watched and like looked up to and given me guidance about things, because I felt really like embarrassed to talk about that with my parents. Like 100%. Like I would never. I remember I told them the first time that I watched porn or something was like, I don't know, was it like a year or a few years after I started doing it? Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I know my hair looks like a mess right now. But yeah, and that conversation, I mean, I was told by my father that a woman providing oral sex or fellatio on a man is like sinful and wrong. And the same thing for a man reciprocating with a woman. So that was the viewpoint that I kind of was indoctrinated and embedded within me. So I feel kind of honestly rebellious and scandalous sometimes when I watch porn, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, this is like, and some of the people in it, like they have like men with like, literally this dude just had like a huge scorpion tattoo on his back, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, sweet Jesus. You can just tell that they're, but it's also, you know what it is? It's very like intriguing at the same time, because you know what I think I'm attracted to is that what intrigues me and appeals to me is that aspect of it being so scandalous. Like I'm not a risky person. I'm not prone to impulsivity unless there was a sale on like a candle, pens from Office Max. What else do I really want? I really want Bomba socks. If you don't know what Bomba socks are, do that. The FabFit Fun Box, I would love that. Stitch Fix. When I get a thing in my email about Stitch Fix and there's like a bargain, I'm like, no. And when I say that I'm in debt, like I have balances, I mean like I'm in debt. Like that's one thing I will say. If I told my 9-year-old self, I'd be like, how did I get here? But the thing is, it wasn't my fault. Like this stuff is not my fault. You can say, oh, maybe it was karma, past life karma, but legitimately I was like abused so horribly. Like I mean like not like physically like raped or molested, but like I feel like I was spiritually raped. I'll be honest. I feel like I was spiritually raped. I feel like I had everything that I knew to be true about my life and humanity just like shattered in the past few years. And I even told myself I wanted to make sure that like in terms of living authentically, I didn't want to ever cling onto sex as a coping mechanism and like a comfort blanket, because that's when it becomes almost like you become trauma bonded and you become codependent on it to be happy, and it becomes an addiction, right? So I'm very cognizant of when I do watch porn in terms of that respect. It's usually, I've noticed, when I'm horny is when I'm ovulating. Because that's when your lady bits are like, please. give me, give me, uh, give me man bits. That's usually I notice when I'm the horniest is like when I'm ovulating, because it's literally my brain is like on rapid fire, like you need, I was gonna say DICK, you need it now. And yeah, and I think my brain, like, it's visually stimulating when you see people. I mean, maybe not for you, for me it's like when I see people fornicate, or can I say that on YouTube, you know, it's like woo, it makes me feel all types of ways. I will say though, be careful, because like me, and I don't mind disclosing this because this is YouTube and I don't mind sharing about my journey, and this is, I'm gonna be really raw and candid. There's another app called Flip where people are being very vulnerable and raw and real, and I really appreciate it because it's not fake, it's not artificial, like it's real people sharing about their lives. But anyways, I will say though, be careful, because like me, I find it more trouble. I have a harder time getting aroused. I mean, I can get aroused, but I have a harder time getting aroused in person, like with somebody, with a partner, and I have trouble, which I know that this is like a thing, like some women can't actually climax an orgasm, and for some reason, I don't know why, I can't with, and I'm attracted to men, like if I see a man and he's like, bing, you know, it's like, whoa, you know, that's how I know I'm straight, because if I see a vagina, like when you obviously in porn, if you haven't seen porn, don't do it when you're not ready, and if you're curious, try to start small. Work your way up to that, because and this will be a good moment to stop into and explore, is like sexual growth, or like exploring your sexuality. Oh, that'd be a good name for a video. Well, I wanted to call it Living Authentically, but I also wanted to, maybe it's like about exploring your sexuality. Meaning, what do I mean by that? When I first got, I don't know if I mentioned this in my video about sex, I started with romance novels. I don't know if it was, there was a certain like a publisher, Harper books, I don't remember, it was, but they were like romance books, they were like and I didn't know this at the time. When I remember, I think I got them, I don't know if I got a physical one, I think I got them on my Kindle, and I remember reading it and I was like, whoa. And it's basically, it was super explicit. It's like, I don't even know if I could say this on YouTube. It was like, she took his throbbing, pounding cock, and he thrust it up into her, and his pelvis gyrated with every motion and every thrust, she moaned and groaned, and you know, he, whatever, you know, stuff like that. Really erotic. It was erotica or erotic romance or whatever. So I started with that. I think I migrated, I'm trying to remember. It was romance novels, and then romance novels is one thing, like romance books, and then it turned into like erotic romance books. And then it changed to, I'm sure that there was it was Cinemax. That's when I first watched sex, was on Cinemax. And, so what I've learned, that was softcore porn. It wasn't like the actors, like they weren't really like, because it's on TV, it was on HBO, they would never, I don't think HBO would allow that. They really weren't having sex, it was like simulated sex or whatever. So like, I don't even know how to describe that. It's like, I guess their parts were covered. No, but her parts were not covered. But were his? I don't remember. All I remember is there was a chaise lounge and she was receiving like oral from him, and I was like, whoa. It made me feel all types of ways, like legitimately, like, oh my god, like to this day, to me, that was the best orgasm I ever had, ever. And to replicate that, I don't even know how. I wasn't even doing anything. I legit was like sitting on my couch, at like the edge of my couch, and I was just sitting up like erect, no pun intended, like sitting up straight, and then I swear to god, like my body, like it was like a wave of pleasure, just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was the best. Oh my god, it was like euphoric. And no orgasm has ever been good ever since. So, any hoosers. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought because I got a text message, a notification about something. but yeah, so okay, so I went from that, and then I went to a site. It was, oh my god, okay, I remember. So then I remembered the names of the video, like the TV, the series that they would feature on the HBO Cinemax thing, right? And it was like Lingerie After Dark or whatever. And I would remember the actors' names and the actresses. And I would sneak away into my room and I would turn off the Wi-Fi, and then I would go under the covers, and I look, oh, and that's what it is. I found out it was called, the website was called Daily Motion. And I remember, oh my god, bro, there was, oh my god, and he was so sexy. There was, what was his name? Oh my god, there was a guy, Michael something. Michael East? Michael East. Bro, like, he was so toned, tan, black hair. Oh my god, he was so handsome. And I remember I used to look him up, and like, I would watch the same, I think the series was called Lingerie, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sharing my whole the sequential order of like how I, with sex or whatever. So anyways, so I did, yeah, I looked him up. I don't know if it was Michael Eastwood. I can't remember what his name, Michael East? Oh my god, Michael, or was it an Italian last name? Anyways, it doesn't matter. And, I would watch that, and then I was like, I forgot. Oh, I would go to Google, and I would turn off safe search, because they're like, do you want whatever, because they would blur the things. And then I looked up Kama Sutra, because I was like, what's Kama Sutra? And then there was actually an educational video on sex, and that was super helpful. And it was like, they would show couples, but then there would be a narrator explaining, and I'm like, thank God that existed, or else I would not. I thought, because in my parents' room they had like a thing about with a stork, and I'm like, bro, I thought that's where baby, like, I was so wrong, like so wrong. But anyways, so yeah, I would watch that, and then I think that's when it kind of, so I don't remember, I think I was trying to find a specific video or the actor or whatever, and then Pornhub came up, like that was one of the options on my Google search, and I'm like, I was like, dun dun dun. I was like, am I going to go to heaven, or am I going to be banished to hell with like all the sinners, right? Because I literally, I thought, because like you're taught in Catholicism and Christian, like you're not supposed to like sex. Like you're not supposed to have sex before marriage. And I don't even know, bro, how would people like each other if they didn't know how that, like, oh my god, can you imagine if you get married to somebody and the sex sucks and you've never had sex with them, and then you have to live with that person for the rest of their life? Bro, that's like, no. So there was actually a debate on Flip about should people live together before they're married, and I wholeheartedly say yes. You should it's called cohabitation. You should cohabitate with the person that you are going to possibly marry 100%, because then you learn about them, you learn about their idiosyncrasies, you learn about their kinks, and I don't mean kinks like sexual, I just mean, the subtle nuances, their likes, their dislikes, everything. Look, so I lost my dog's hair, but yeah, that was a side note. My dog's hair. But yeah, okay, so going back to what I said, the safe search, Google search, that came up, and then that's when I, Pornhub, and I will be honest, I do kind of feel kind of gross sometimes, because, like, they're very graphic. Like, some of the way it's filmed, like, you see everything. I'm talking balls, I'm talking but, the human body, it's fascinating to me. And I'm still fascinated by the fact that a man can even get aroused to me, because me, as a person, as Ashley, it has taken so much for me to feel confident in myself and to act provocatively or sexually. Now, I will say in public, now this is one thing interesting about me, is in public, oh my god, my dog's hair. In public, I am very modest. Like, if I'm, some women, when you look at them, and I don't want to judge, because everyone's journey is different, but when you look at them, they dress provocatively and suggestively out in public. Like, they wear, like, sheer tops. Like, when I was a waitress, it was so interesting to see the people from, like, all walks of life that would come into a restaurant. One girl, legit, she was with a crew of ladies. They were celebrating the girl's 21st birthday. And I'll never forget, I think it was I call them my clients because, or customers that I was waiting on. Her name was Plate, and I asked her why is her name Plate, because she says like gold plated, you know. She's like, oh, because she's like, I'm gold plated, and she was wearing gold like themed stuff or whatever. And I was like, okay, but one of the girls in her crew, in her posse, had a feather boa on. I kid you not, I promise you. This was at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Coral Gables, Florida. I did work there. And I'll never forget, she had a bra and underwear on and a completely light pink sheer dress. And when I say sheer, I mean sheer. But it had little sparkly rhinestones, right? Like little, you know, it was shiny. It was like satiny sheer. But you saw everything. And then she had a feather boa. And the feather boa, I don't know if it was attached to the dress, but like it covered her vajiji region, you know. And it covered her tetas, you know. So I call tetas boobs. So yeah. So anyways, I was like, holy schmackaroons, this girl is like showing all the goods. You know, and it was a very form-fitting dress. And you can, you can say, oh, but she's really comfortable in her skin. Yeah, but is it appropriate? They actually, I think we had to like, they were accepted, but they were almost not allowed to come in because they didn't have, she definitely didn't have appropriate attire at all. And some people would wear like bras, like legit bras and like pants into like, yeah, it was, yeah. Ruth Chris After Dark is a very interesting place. I will say that. But it kept it very eventful and fun and entertaining for us as servers. But anyways, my point is like, you know, and this is where I say about living authentically, right? Because I feel like it's a juxtaposition because in public, I am not demonstrative. Like I'm not flirtatious with men. I'll be honest, I mean, I'm getting better at it. Like if I saw a handsome man, maybe I'd like smile and be like, you know, but like it's easier to do it behind a keyboard, I will say that, or like on a dating app or whatever, but like in person, forget about it. It's like, oh, there's his arm, ooh, you know. But I will say living authentically, it's weird because I don't fit the role of what you would think of someone who enjoys sex and intimacy. And when I say enjoy sex, I mean like legs up in the air, hanging over a guy's shoulders, and you know, moaning and groaning until you both come. Like I mean that, and that's what I'm being honest. Like, and if women want to be like, oh, she's such a whore, such a slut, well, I waited until I was 32 years old, and if you don't think that's true, please come meet me. I mean, I can't prove it to you. I think to prove you were or not a virgin, it's your hymen or something. I don't even know if there's efficacy to that. Because honestly, I think I broke my hymen after bike riding, like very vigorously, because I used to be an avid bike rider growing up. Like not bike rider like mountain biking or dirt biking, but like biking like on a bicycle. So yeah. But I don't dress provocatively in public. I'm not really into bold styles. I love florals. I love the color pink, obviously. I think it's such a pretty color. I don't know. I feel so like, you know, it's like West Side Story, like when she's like, I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel, when I wear dresses and like sundresses and like cute tops, like, and rompers, I love wearing that. And when you look good, you feel good on the inside, right? Because that shines and radiates outwardly. But, I will say though, it feels weird sometimes, like when I watch porn or like because of me liking sex so much, I feel like I'm almost like a hypocrite because I'm in public with one way. I'm very much, I'm very faithful in terms of God and stuff. Like I'm so grateful for the life that I've had, and I feel honestly like there's moments where I feel like I've been touched by God, where like I feel like I've been saved numerous times by like when I say the most, like I've been in the most outlandish and bizarre situations, I mean it. Like I feel like I've had several brushes with death. I'm not kidding. And I feel like I was spared or I was protected, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, but I will feel sometimes if I watch porn or whatever, I feel like sometimes I'm turning my back on God and whatever, but then I remind myself, I'm like, it's human nature, right? And we're biologically predisposed to want to do it, right? So, I don't know. It's like, I think it's like how I've learned to manage it and what helps me cope through it and not feel like a whore or a slut, right, for wanting to do it. And I honestly feel like my sex drive is a little bit higher than most women. I don't know if I have like an influx of androgens or testosterone coursing through my veins, But I do sense that in that regard. Like, I feel like my sex drive is higher. Um, and that's not always something as a woman that can kind of be frowned down upon, right? Because you're looked at as, oh, you're hypersexual. You don't know. I just, I enjoy the way it feels. And also, too, like, when you're with somebody, if you've never had sex before, it is a very, if you're with someone who cares about you and respects you, I will say this, like, to be held in that manner, sex is one of the most intimate acts you can do with a person, ever. You're literally horizontal, naked. It's the most, like, profound way that two people's souls touch, when you think about it, right? And I do think, yes, we do treat sex as, like, a recreational activity, wholeheartedly, like 100%. Like, we have become a hookup culture. I mean, I'm even guilty of that. Like, I'm at the point, like, well, I'm not dating right now, but there was a point where, and it's still, like, and that's just me, I've wanted friends with benefits, which is literally not a relationship. You're fuck buddies. Like, you're friends, but you hook up. Like, you like each other, but you're like, you don't even need to be exclusive. You just enjoy each other's company, and you have sex with each other, and you enjoy each other's bodies. I'd be excommunicated from the church. That's why I really say I take a more spiritual approach than anything. I mean, I do believe in Jesus. Like, 100%, I think Jesus was a dude that walked the earth, and he professed about love, and they murdered him because of it. Because it was all power struggle, because they thought he was going to, like, I think it was heresy, honestly, because I think they thought he was going to amass, like, a huge following, which he did, but they saw that as a threat, so they tried to eliminate him. But he rose from the dead, and now we celebrate Christmas every year, the 25th, which I don't know if that's his real birthday. I think it's in January. Anyways, I got off topic again. But I will say, in terms of, like, living authentically, I kind of feel like I'm in this funky stage of, because, that's another thing I want to share is, oh my god, my stockings are inside out. I just realized literally I'm wearing stockings, and they're inside. This is supposed to be, oh my god. And I was dancing in these and stuff and everything. I was making, like, a dance video or whatever. Anyways, but no one saw the foot part. This is, like, the seam. Can you see, like, the seam? But this is supposed to be on the inside. Anyways, yeah, so one thing I will share is, in terms of living authentically, I started an OnlyFans page. Mind you, this video will probably get, like, 2 views, so it really doesn't matter. Bonnie gets, on the YouTube, Bonnie gets more views, like, my dog gets more views, which is great, because if my dog can bring people joy, I am so happy about that. But I started an OnlyFans page, and OnlyFans has been known to be synonymous with pornography, or sex work, I guess you can call it, right? I think it depends on the niche or the niche that you're in, and your boundaries and what you're willing to do and what not to do. So a lot of women, you can choose to go the full Monty. You can choose to literally the whole enchilada. Like, I'm talking. That's not how sex sounds. That's supposed to be a bed creaking. Like, I don't even know. Can I do that on YouTube? I feel like I'm being inappropriate. No, but there's people who talk about, like, squirting and all this other stuff. So no, I'm fine. I'm good. But I just hope YouTube doesn't flag my video. That would suck. Because then I have to, like, re-record the whole thing. And I try to be as organic and authentic as I can be when I'm discussing these topics. Like, it's not scripted. Like, none of it is, like, scripted. I reflect and espouse on thoughts, like, and things that are meaningful to me, right? That might help another person. And one thing I will say, the Flip commentary, like on the app Flip, there's a lot more active discussion that goes on in the comments section. Here, not so much. I wish there was, because that'd be really cool to have engaged in this, like, healthy rapport and back and forth between people, because that's how you learn, right? You learn by communicating with other people who have different points of view than you. Granted, hopefully they're respectful, but you never know. But I was going to say something, and again I lost my train of thought. Oh, OnlyFans. So I started an OnlyFans page. Was it out of desperation? I don't know. I put it on my thing. I was like, I put it as a last resort thing, but I was getting a lot of rejection letters from companies, and I was trying to understand why, because I do have sales experience, but sales is really competitive, and I don't like to compete against other people. Um, and also medical assisting, I didn't have the certification for it, which rightfully so. Like, they're totally justified in doing it. But there's some that I did have experience, like medical experience, healthcare experience, call center. Like, I did have that, and some of them I was kind of bummed out and disappointed I didn't get them. But it just, I go, okay, well, what can I do? Like, you know, and I said, and this was the logic, right? This was the thought process. So if you want to bear with me here, so I can explain it. Maestro. I feel like I'm conducting an orchestra. The reason and the logic behind it is I used to be really afraid of wearing lingerie because I thought it was sinful. And then when I first lost, I hate saying lost my virginity, when I first had sex, when my first time having, right, the person I did it with, like, he was like, oh, send me sexy pictures or whatever. So I did sexy, like, I didn't even, honestly, and if I don't know, I'm not going to show them. Can I show that on? I'm not going to show it. But they were very mild. It was like me laying down on like the bed, like with my head like this, and I was in like a Victoria's Secret's like pink bra. It wasn't even a bra. It was like a lounge bralette, but it was like kind of lacy. It wasn't much, right? But I was like laying down, and I, you know, tried to look cute, and I was on my bed in Virginia, and, you know, one pose was very like, kind of very provocative, like legs were, and because I kept thinking, okay, what's sexy? What have I seen in like the porn videos that I watched when I was 20, 21, 22? Like, how can I apply that? So I did it, and they came out really good. Like, my pictures came, like, I'm not like vain or narcissistic, but like they legit came out like really good. Like the girl that you see in the pictures, you would go, what? That's the same like, no, that's Ashley? No. That like, I even do a double take sometimes, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, damn. I'm like, I literally, like, today I was recording, I did a video to with the sunglasses I got from an Instagram company, and they remind me of Charlie XCX's. She wears these glasses that are like really cool. They're like thin, and she has a song called Guess. And I remember I first heard it, I think it was at the VMA. Was it the VMAs? What was it? Was it VMAs? Yes. No. No! It wasn't the VMAs, it was the Grammys. And she came out and she was like dancing, you know, with a whole group, and it was this like club song. I'm like, okay, I'm like, this is cool. And then I forgot where I watched the YouTube video, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, this is super, she's like super like badass, like in her element, like doesn't give a shit. And I was like, that's the persona that I want, you know, I need to adopt if I'm, you know, for like OnlyFans, whatever. But anyways, I did a video today, and I literally was in my lingerie, which I have underneath, and because I did the video right after, you know, I wanted to come on here and do, you know, while I've been doing content or whatever. And I legit was like, I watched the video, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, that's me. And it was like, I don't know if I tapped into like the performing arts side of me, like, because I did musical theater years ago, and I left that world because, one, it's very cutthroat, like, and literally you have to sell yourself, like, legit, you have to, which is funny that you would think, well, now I'm kind of doing that with my, like, body and lingerie and facial, like, so, I don't know, I would never go back. It's a lot of work. You have to, like, legit, you have to audition, you have to be signed with an agency, you need an agent, you have to become SAG, usually, like, is it SAG after? I don't know, but it's a whole thing. I didn't want to take that route. I loved theater, doing, like, wearing the costumes and stuff like that. That was fun, and dancing. I always said I would love to be ensemble one day, once, on a Broadway show. Not to, like, I don't know, because there's something so, I don't know, but now I like watching the shows more than I would ever want to be in it. I don't know. Go to a Broadway show. Trust me. You will come back a different person. You'll be like, you saw the light. But anyways, but I watched a video back of, like, me doing, like, dancing, like, sensual dance, right? We can call it sensual dance, right? And I was like, holy shit. I'm like, that's me? I'm like, damn. I was like, that came out really good. Not, like, in a self-absorbed way, just, like, I'm shocked. Because the girl that I see in there, I'm like, that's brave. Like, to dance like that and put yourself out there, like, and that's going to go on my page, like, my OnlyFans page. And yes, some of the things, if you're curious about OnlyFans, there's a different variety of things you could do. Yes, there's sexy pictures. Some women do live videos of them, like, you know, having playtime with their kitty cat downstairs. For me, I don't mind sharing this. I don't get turned on by doing that, so I don't want to be disingenuous and inauthentic and be like acting like, oh, it feels so good. No, I can't do that. Like, I can't. Like, as a person, I can't lie for shit as a person. So like, I don't want to get like a vibrant and be like, ooh, it feels so good. You know, I can't. It feels weird. I know that feels weird. So some women, they get aroused by self-touch, but I can't. So that's going to cut my audience in like way in half. You know, because a lot of the people, like when you see porn sites, like literally, if it, like, be very, let me tell you, if you go on a porn site, I will, like, I'm cognizant of the fact that it's kind of like voyeuristic and sinful, right? But like at the same time, I try to be like, you know, there's like, I'm cognizant of that, but there's also too, like, there's the aspect that you can get spammed or scammed or whatever, because legit, like, it's important, like, there's who knows what video can trigger something if you click a link or whatever, so you do have to be very mindful and careful in that respect, or in that regard. But the things that come up are like, jerk whatever with me and do this and this, and I'm like, you know, and they're like, come play, and I'm like, yeah. Whenever I see ads like that, I'm like, no. I'm like, I used to be like, oh, my virgin eyes or my virgin ears, and now I'm just my non-virgin eye, but still, it's like too much for me. I can't, I just, yeah. So there's some things I will not do, and I actually outline that on my OnlyFans thing. But I will say, it has been nice to embrace that side of myself. I know if anyone saw me like from high school, they'd be like, what the F? Right? Because literally I was like the super nice girl. I was legit, I was voted, actually with my first boyfriend, which is funny, Miss Congeniality, which is like when you're like the all around like nice person, or like the person everyone gets along with and is agreeable. And I got that, which was pretty cool, I think, because I felt like, I don't know, that kind of, when I think back, I don't know, I think I grew a lot. Even while, and I'm just realizing now, like in my teen years, I actually grew a lot. Because I went from being really shy, that's what, well, you know, you do improv and you do theater, whatever, you'll definitely break out of your shell. If you're a shy person, please go to an improv class, go to an acting class. You will not be shy anymore. Like you won't be, even if you suck at improv. Because I sucked at improv. My lips are so dry. So, what else was I gonna say? But yeah, I legit feel weird sometimes, and like, and that's another thing I wanted to do a flip debate about. I go, am I being vain and conceited by putting, like, not dressing provocatively, but like, I've never taken so many selfies in my life, ever. Like, ever. I had maybe like, where's my selfie? I have a thing, like literally this was today, and I was, trying to I meant to say promote these glasses that are like, these are like the Charlie XCX, and that's me, bro. It's almost like, not to say a persona, but I have to get in the mode, right, of like badass girl boss, whatever. But that's me, and there's another picture, that's me again, and it's just weird because I'm not used to commanding attention. I'm the person that I don't want attention. So I feel, you know, when you see this, you're like, oh, that's, you know, and you see celebrities doing it, you're like, oh, that's an attention whore, right? There's that term, attention whore. And I'm like, I don't want to be an attention whore. I'm just trying to promote, I'm trying to figure out different revenue streams so I can make income. And UGC, user-generated content, and product reviews are one way to do that. So, yeah, but I do feel sometimes I go, am I being, and this is where living authentically comes in, am I being, narcissistic and self-absorbed by taking these pictures of myself in different poses and faces or facial expressions, right? And in different attire and garments or lack of garments, right? You know, because it's not something I ever thought I would do, and it's, you know, it's just, yeah. I'm trying to find. I'm so sleepy. I'm so tired. Oh my god. And I didn't go to the post office today. I was gonna. So I get a Stitch Fix. Just on a side note, I'm subscribed to Stitch Fix, and they send you like clothes, which I love Stitch Fix. Oh my god. Since I can't really go like shopping here in Vermont because I'm like I don't have a car, and yeah, which is okay. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about it. It is what it is. I chose to move here. That's me. I take accountability of that. But and the taxi is like $10 for one ride, so I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, Stitch Fix. So um, I have clothes sent to me. It might sound weird, but a stylist curates them. You tell them your style preferences, your likes, your dislikes, and then they curate a box of clothes for you. And then they send the box to you. And then in the box, the things that you don't like, they have a pre-labeled or pre-packaged, like, is it pre-labeled? I don't know what the word is. But you send the clothes that you don't like back, and then they take the clothes or whatever. So I literally, yeah, I use that. And I'm trying to promote that as well. But it is hard. Like, I'm going to be honest, it's hard. And I forgot, there was a reason why I mentioned Stitch Fix, and I forgot. I'm probably dead ass tired also as well. My sleep schedule's all off because I literally stay up into the night, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and have horrible insomnia, and then I sleep in the day, which I might actually go to take a nap in a little bit after this video, which technically I need to take a shower. But anyways, yeah, I sometimes feel weird because I go, am I being too narcissistic and vain? I take too many selfies. Because now that I'm doing this whole content creation thing, you know, and that's why I quit theater, like I said, because you are the product, right? Your proportion of your face, the hair, your hair color, your eye color, right? My ears, do they like, you know, are they too big or whatever, you know? Is my skin too fair? Are my nails, you know, that you are the product. So I'm trying to accentuate my features as best as I can and my assets and stuff like that. And it is weird. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I'm not used to doing that at all. Like, at all. So it's almost, how do I say, it's like thrilling and exhilarating. But then also I look back and I go, would my 10-year-old self be happy knowing, like, what I'm doing? But really, at the end of the day, I don't have a choice. Like, I tried to work, and you might be like, oh, but you can work, you know, I don't want to say a factory, you can work in a school. I tried. I was so blindsided and mistreated, like, unfairly, and, you know, and I don't know why, sometimes girls can be really catty, and I was, you know, I was very, very, I would think I'm pretty nice to everybody, and I give everybody a chance, but, you know, yeah, and it's just times are hard right now, and especially with the dog anyways, I'd want to work from home, but I just, the kind of work that I'm doing now, I never thought I'd be doing, so maybe I think to not feel so guilty about it, maybe I need to do, like, I don't know, I need to focus my efforts, like, I need to read more poetry or read my books, because I have a bunch of books that I need to read, and, what else, like, I have my TEFL course that I signed up for one TEFL course, and I did it, but then something felt a little bit off about it, to be honest. These TEFL courses, bro, like, I'm telling you, you can't, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but that is an option for me. But I also want to try my hand at medical assisting. So, but anyways, in terms of living authentically, yeah, I really, sometimes I feel not like a hypocrite. I mean, not so much anymore, because I'm embracing that side of myself. It doesn't mean I'm going to walk around in lace stockings and garters in public and have my boobs hanging out. No, I still dress modestly, but it's like in the bedroom, it's like anything goes. I mean, not anything goes. I take it back. Not everything and anything goes. But, some things. So, I don't know. It's just weird to navigate, because it's just, I never thought I would be doing it. Like, I never thought, like, when someone told me OnlyFans from, like, years ago, I'd be like, oh, she's a whore. Like, she's selling her soul. And I'm like, but now it's like, I'm doing it. And, oh, that's what I was going to say, is, like, that's the reason why I got into it, because my pictures that I was taking between the person I was seeing, like, him and I, like, I was, you know, in lingerie, and I was like, wait a second, like, I enjoy doing this. It's fun. Maybe I can make money off of it. You know, it's like, it's basically like, if you think about it, it's like a not to say virtual stripper, but like it depends on how much you want to show, but maybe some people apparently they go faceless, like it's just like literally just, well, I can't show it, but it's just like, imagine if it was just this and you see like whatever, or you know, it's your feet. A lot of people do feet pics. um so yeah, I mean, I'm doing full face whatever. I'd rather just, you know, I have nothing to hide. I really have nothing to lose at this point. I don't talk to my family. um yeah, like I legit like just, yeah, I don't, yeah. So, and my friends are really non-existent. Like, because of what I went through, I really don't have any friends because I had to isolate myself and I went into survival mode. So I don't really have any friends, but that's okay because I have my doggy and I'm my own friend. And first of all, you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else. You have to be your own soulmate and be your own friend to be a best friend to someone else, right? What do I mean by that? Like, how can you care about someone else if you don't even love yourself? You know, you're going to be searching for validation through that person, and you know, you're going to become codependent on them and rely on them for happiness because you don't feel happy and worthy. You're insecure yourself, right? So yeah, I really have, that's always, I have nothing to lose. And if my parents, I'm sure if my parents found out, they'd be livid. They'd be like, you have lost all, and I'm like, well, you know what, I lost all respect for them because they, you know, I'm not going to get into it, of my story in that respect. um Maybe one day I'll talk about parenting and, you know, being raised by certain type of parent, but not now. Oh my god, I gotta take these stockings off. Eee! Anyways, um, but living authentically, if I can give advice for living authentically, um, first of all, it's a journey. Life is a journey. It takes time, right? Like, it takes time to, some people are like 50 or 60 and they still don't even know themselves, which sounds crazy because you would think they'd learn that self-development or establish their identity during their adolescence, but they don't, you know. So, and I always think as humans, we never stop growing, we never stop changing and evolving. And I think the moment you say, oh, I'm done learning or evolving, like, that's when you go, nope, you still need to learn more. Because I'm an avid learner. I love to learn new things. So for me, I will say, and I'm going to wrap it up here because I'm so tired. And I literally lost my train of thought just now. I'm so tired right now. Living authentically, if I had some advice for somebody, if you were watching my video, if I could tell you one thing, I mean, healing and all that change can't happen overnight. It takes time, unless you're like, you know, a guru, whatever, savant, sage, psychic, seer, whatever, extraordinaire. But honor that growth, honor that space of uncertainty, because there's a lot of growth that happens there during that time. And don't feel afraid to mess up. Don't be and also don't care about what people think of you, because, and that's easier said than done, you know, because when you put yourself out there in a public forum, you're opening yourself up for scrutiny, right? Like, when I'm going to put this video up there, and who knows, someone will be like, she's a whore, she does OnlyFans, and I'll respect that. But they don't know my story, they don't know what I've been through, they don't know my journey of sexual awakening and growth, and how that has shaped me as a person. They didn't know that what I've had to repress. They don't know about how I, you know, don't get aroused by whatever, you know, like certain, you know. So I think, if anything, I would say don't be afraid to embrace who you are. Like, all of that. Like, I used to be afraid, like, I was embarrassed, I think, what was it, recently, as an adult. Like, sometimes I'll watch Disney movies for fun. Like, I haven't done that recently, but I did that a few months ago. Like, one of my favorite when it came out was the movie Wish. I did watch Lilo and Stitch recently, but the movie Wish was like, Ariana DeBose has such a good voice. Chris Pine also did really well in that. Who else? Valentino. I forgot the voice of Valentino. But anyways, it was a really good movie, and I would watch that over and over because I love the singing, and it was so good. And then, yeah, so sometimes, and I used to be afraid to admit that, like even while dating, like if I said it, what if a guy says, oh, she's a Disney adult, oh my god, she's so immature, and but if they met me, they would know that I'm not immature. They would know that I have emotional intelligence, that I have a head on my shoulders, that I try to, I make, sometimes may make the wrong decision, but I do go through a very like comprehensive, like I make pros and cons lists. Literally, like Jane the Virgin, the character of Jane, she literally makes pros and cons lists. I make pros and cons lists. Like, I'm that thorough in my decision-making process and my rationale. There's no stone I leave untouched or unturned. So, but that's something that I kind of was like, oh, wearing no makeup sometimes. I used to feel weird about that. And now I don't wear makeup, which sometimes, even while recording videos, which I'm really proud of myself about. Feeling comfortable, like, oh, yeah, liking sex and intimacy. During the time that I was a virgin and I was watching porn, I would cover it up and hide to people I pretended like I had sex already, and I was like everyone else, I was like, oh, whatever, it's like, but they didn't know that I went home and like watched porn or whatever, so I would feel guilty about that, and I would try to cover it up and hide that. What else? The fact that I suck at math sometimes and science. Like, there's people, I remember when I was volunteering at the hospital that I later worked at in Miami, there were people that I volunteered with that were pre-med, and they were so smart. And I sometimes felt so insecure and less than because they were pursuing, they were like to become a doctor, right? And they were doing their volunteering hours to get for med school or whatever, to get into med school. And I would sit there and I would try to, I felt embarrassed because I felt like I wasn't smart enough, What other things was I insecure about? I'm trying to think. My heritage. Oh, that's another thing. I used to get embarrassed, and this is talking about living authentically, right? So my heritage, I used to I used to be told I don't look Hispanic. I was told and then when I worked in restaurants, I was told because I didn't speak Spanish fluently or well enough. I have intermediate proficiency in Spanish. Like, it may not be a perfect conversation, but I can understand for the most part and comprehend it. The output is sometimes hard, like to conjugate certain verbs, but more often than not, I understand what's being said. But I've been told, oh, you don't look Hispanic, you look white. Why don't you know Spanish if you're in Miami? I didn't know much about my heritage because my family history was kind of wonky and blurry, so, and there's a reason for that, but, I didn't feel like I could identify with my nationality, so I felt insecure about that because I worked with people that were servers that were very, very much Venezuelan, and they spoke Spanish like rapid fire, and they knew everything about Venezuela and this and that, and I was like, I felt like I was left in the dark, and like I was being a fraud because I didn't, I was a virgin. I felt like I didn't resonate with my heritage and my nationality. I am still very much like a kid at heart. Like, I love, like, Disney, like, it's not stupid, but, like, I grew up going to Disney, so, like, all my childhood memories are there, so, like, I could go to Epcot and just have a blast. I actually did go to Epcot by myself a few years ago. It was in 2023, and I give myself such credit for that, because I really wanted to see, Star Wars World, because I was on my bucket list. I was like, I needed to go to Star Wars World, so I did that, and I went by myself, and I had a blast. So that was one thing, and that's something that a lot of people, they'd be like, you're silly, you're immature, and I'm like, no, it's fun. Now I will say I do like roller coasters though, kind of more like I need like the thrill seeking aspect of it, but yeah, those are things in terms of living authentically. I feel like if I could give someone advice, I would say don't be afraid to, because honestly, let me tell you something, the people that, if you're like someone in high school and you watch my video, hopefully you're like 17 or 18 and not 16, because I'm talking about explicit or like erotic content, but don't be afraid to embrace who you are, because the people that you're friends with in high school, you're not going to talk to them 10 years later. I don't talk to anyone from high school, like, at all. I don't know what they're doing, I don't know what they're up to, and at the time, their idea and perception of me meant everything. I wanted to be liked so bad. I did not like in a, oh, I need to be liked, but like I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Like, that's how I was. So Now I could care less. Now I cut people off like it's nobody's business. Like literally, I legit, someone that I knew from a few years ago, who at one point was someone I thought was important in my life, I gave shit less about because I think he screwed me over. But I, he wrote to me. I'm not gonna even write him back. I'm not even block him. I'm just not gonna write him back because I'm not interested. And that might be rude to you guys, but you don't know the back of the story of how he was a narcissist and how I felt like groomed me for sex and stuff. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it. That's a whole nother story for another day. And I really don't want to air like dirty laundry in that respect for him. But yeah, now I have no problem cutting people off. But before I was very, very reluctant and nervous to do so. So I will say, yeah, don't be afraid to embrace who you are and do it now, because if I would have known that years ago, I would have been so much happier, because I cared so much about like what my coworkers thought. If I like, if I remember even going to work, like sometimes I would, when I did my makeup, I wanted to look a certain way, and I acted a certain way, like if I was cooler than I was, which I'm not. I'm pretty nerdy and bubbly and quirky, kind of all over the place too, but it's fine. I went through a lot. So, yeah, kind of my story, but, I just think when you step into your truth and you live your authentic self, you're going to be much happier, Can't say like, oh, this is something I want to do forever, right? Like the whole OnlyFans thing. It's not what I do. I don't want that to be my main source of income. Some women, they do. Apparently they make like bank, and they make like really good money. Like I'm talking like millionaires. Like these people become like gazillionaires, right? But I think they do a lot more than my stuff. I'm not as out there. These people do a lot of stuff. I'm just doing it honestly because I need to, to make ends meet so I can pay rent or make a minimum payment, if that. Because I can't even afford the rent that I have. I shouldn't even really be living here, but it's where I am right now. And, so, yeah, but I will say, embrace who you are, because life is too short. And don't care about what people think of you, because and if they do care about so much what they think of you, that means that they're not living their life. How petty is it think about this, if a grown-ass man or woman has so much time to hyper-focus and hyper-fixate on you, right? Think about that, versus live their own life, then boy, is there something wrong with them. Because everyone should be entitled to live their life, in their own way, but also have a life, like focus on their own life. So, yeah. But don't be afraid to step into your true authentic self. And if your parents don't accept you, they don't allow, like I said, I'm pretty sure my parents would not appreciate at all what I'm doing. But at the same time, like, I do it in my way, and, I'm going to give it that Ashley touch, not the, porn star whatever, but, so, and it may not make me a lot of money, because I literally narrowed down my thing to, like, only certain things that I would do, whereas other women, they would probably do a lot more and make a lot more money. But I'm also not like what's it called, a pay pig, or like a cash cow. Like I'm not super money hungry. I'm trying to be more aligned with abundance and the energy of money so I can attract it, because I think I repel it, because I'm like, oh, money is so gross, it's the root of all evil. Meanwhile, I'm trying to create like I created a tip menu, and I'm creating like a service package, but that's business, it's sales. So yeah, I think I'm allowed and afforded to kind of think strategically and how to market myself, because I'm trying to make a business. I'm trying to make an income, so we'll see. But anyways, I hope me giving some insight or insider look into my life can help you in some way live your life authentically, because for me, I feel like, honestly, majority of it I didn't. I feel like I was wearing a mask because I was trying to hide the fact that I enjoyed sex. It was mostly that, and, what else? Yeah, and the Disney thing, and the fact that I didn't get into, not get into, but I wasn't good at, like, science or chemistry, and you had people that were, like, the people I volunteered with, they went to University of Miami, so they were smart, and I felt like I was stupid. Um, but anyways, do not be afraid to be you. And I know that sounds super cliche and like traditional or whatever, but it's true. Because you may look back in your life and go, oh man, I regret that I didn't do this, or I should have done this differently. You don't want to think that. You want to say, man, I took the plunge, I did it. And if you try it, maybe you act a certain way or you are whatever, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but our personalities just change over time. Our temperament, I think, stays the same. That's finite. But our personality, that can change. I know, like I said, I was super shy at one point. Now I'm like a social butterfly. Granted, I'm an ambivert, so I'm introverted in some situations and extroverted in others. But I like to say that I'm pretty shy. Like, I'm not shy, but like I don't share as much in the beginning with someone, and then I really show my like colors like after I've known them for a while. So yeah, but don't be afraid to be who you are. Love yourself, all of yourself. And if there's something that you need help with and you want to explore, then reach out for help. My help was a little bit different. I consulted the interwebs for pornography to figure out and learn how sex works. And no, I'm not addicted to it. If you say, oh, she talks about porn a lot, no, I'm not addicted to it. I think sometimes, especially when my ovulation time, when it's peak ovulation, forget about it. I'm like, we become little like horny mouse rats, not rats, but like horny horses or something. So yeah. But live authentically, be yourself, love yourself, every fiber of your being. And also too, the one thing I want to end with is follow your passions, because your passions can lead to like success and promise. Granted, we all need to make money, right? You need to pay rent and stuff like that. But what if you can turn something that you love into a business, right? How much happier would you be? And think about the money that people spend to go to college and stuff. If you can do something that you love and you're creative, do it. Do it 100%. And then maybe have someone, a mentor, to back you up as well. I'm kind of going at this solo. I don't talk to anybody. Like I said, my social circle is like pretty much non-existent at this point. I have my dog, but I went through a lot of trauma and stuff, so that's part, me isolating and secluding myself is part of my coping mechanisms, because sometimes I don't want to deal with people. So yeah, be yourself, love yourself. And when I say be unapologetically you, don't make excuses as well. For people that don't like you, don't make excuses. I learned the hard way of this, where like I feel like I need to like defend myself and my character, and it's like, and my preferences and what I like and I don't like, and it's like, you know what? If people care that much about what I'm doing or whatever, that means that they're not living their life, and that's sad. So, yeah. Hope that helps. And life is a journey, and you owe it to yourself to embrace every facet of you, whatever that is. So, yeah. Peace. Meow.